There is nothing our next guest cannot do. She's an author, promoter, and a judge on America's Got Talent, all the while managing with great success her husband, the Prince of Darkness, Ozzy Osbourne. Please welcome the person behind the man, the most important person in my opinion, Sharon Osbourne. Congratulations, welcome, welcome. You know what, you really are. I was looking at biomaterial from you guys. Your 28th wedding anniversary is coming up.
Next week.
Congratulations. Right?
I know, 28 years.
So, let's go back 28 years. 28 years, there were different times, right? There was a lot of alcohol, there was a lot of touring, there was a lot of
drugs.
A lot of drugs, right?
Sex. We don't have it anymore.
There's drugs for that. But understandably, a different time in culture, right?
It was when, you know, the world was a lot freer then. You know, everything was to excess. And it was a great time to be our age at that time.
Yes.
And we went for it. We had a blast.
I didn't say it was bad. I thought it was great.
No, it was just fantastic.
So of all of that, 28 years ago, how did Ozzy propose? That's always a big thing. When couples have always been married a long time, they would say, well, how did he propose to you?
The first time he proposed, he did it really well. He came to my home, he asked my dad. My dad was like, thank God, take her now. It was like, get her out. And he actually proposed to me about 5 times because we would argue, I'd throw the ring away, and then it would be, we're finished, we're over, I never want to see you again. And then we'd get back, and then he'd have to do it all over again. So we had 5 proposals.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. 5 rings?
5 rings, all thrown away. A couple of them I flushed down the toilet. A couple I threw them out like tour bus windows. One I put in the garbage. I mean, it was always, as soon as we would argue, that's it, I don't want to marry you, and it was gone.
And then where did the actual nuptials, where did the ceremony take place?
In Hawaii and Maui. And it was a beautiful ceremony.
Yes, I think we have a picture from the wedding.
There you go. See? Sweet. Yeah.
Now,
and you see Ozzy's face is like looking at that cake, because he made them put about 4 or 5 bottles of brandy in that cake, because Ozzy was on his brandy phase in the early 80s, so everything had to be covered with brandy.
What was the cake, brandy? I think it was Hennessy, right? It was...
Yeah, Hennessy. And he ate it. He ate the whole cake and was like laid out. Absolutely laid out. He was outside. I tried to get him into the bedroom, and he was in the hallway. He'd never made it into the bedroom on our wedding night. And security called me and said, excuse me, could you please get Mr. Osbourne up from the hallway? I'm like, F it, you do it, I was like, not mine.
So here's what's great. Ozzy has a job as a health advisor, correct? Sharon, he's got a job writing almost like an information column.
Absolutely, he does. He does, and it's with the London Times, which you know is a very legit...
Which is like the Wall Street Journal, yes, it's legit.
Absolutely the equivalent of the Wall Street Journal, and he runs the health page, and people write in with their health problems, and Ozzy answers them.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. Like what? Like, do you have an example of one that? But it's really his advice.
It is his advice. You know, people. One guy wrote in and said, you know, I'm on like 24 pints of beer a day, and I can knock back 6 brandies after dinner. Do I need help? And Ozzy says, no, it's normal. You know.
But the column says that Ozzy Osbourne is not a qualified medical professional. Caution is advised.
Yes.
Right. So
it's. I look at it like when you buy a box of cigarettes. It says this may shorten your life. Well, but you like it, so you want to talk to Ozzy, but he's not the best expert. But you like talking to him, right?
okay, but on the cigarettes it says it could cause death. Ozzy's been through all he's been through. He's still alive. I'm listening to Ozzy.
He's got the best. Hey, let me tell you, you're right.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm listening to him. You could eat a wedding cake with 7 bottles of Hennessy in it and still perform.
And smoke everything.
And smoke everything. So, does he ever give you medical advice?
All the time. He's a hypochondriac. That's why he's so good with this column, because he loves going to doctors about anything and everything. So he does give good advice. I mean, he's always diagnosing me, you know, always. But at one time we were in San Francisco on tour, and I had really, really bad cramps. So I called the hotel doctor. Ozzy was asleep. And the doctor comes and he says, I think that there's something wrong with your ovaries. Maybe you've got some polyps on your ovaries. We're going to have to take you into the hospital. It's like, all right, I have to go and tell my husband. So I go in, I wake Ozzy, I tell him the situation, and he goes, what did you say it was? I said, my ovaries. They think I might have polyps on my ovaries. He goes, I've had that, it's nothing. I'm like, okay. You'll be fine. Thank you.
That's great. So, as a judge on America's Got Talent, when I watch this show, there really is a lot of talented people out there.
There's a lot of talented people, and it always amazes me because year after year, I never get bored, and I'm always amazed by what's the next thing coming on that stage, always.
So this tape that I'm going to show, this woman, will you tell the story? She sang in the subway.
Oh, my goodness me.
For 20 years.
20 years she's been singing in the subway in New York City. Now, you can imagine the millions of people that have gone past this woman day in and day out, and I do not know how she's never been signed.
Exactly. Let's play this tape. It's Alice Ridley.
First of all, she had an amazing warmth about her and great soul when she sang, and she like owned that stage.
If you saw her, because you're a manager, if you saw her, you'd have signed her?
Absolutely, because she's got great soul in her voice.
And what does her daughter do?
Oh, her daughter's an Oscar winner.
Her daughter is Gabrielle.
Well, she was an Oscar nominee. Yeah.
Sidibe from Precious. That's Gabrielle Sidibe's mother.
Yeah.
Right there.
Unbelievable.
Amazing.
It's amazing.
So, they were telling me that your daughter turned you on to something that I thought was unbelievable.
It's fantastic.
Can we talk about it? Chat roulette?
Chat roulette. Does anyone know it? So she comes home and she's like, Mom, you're gonna die. And I'm in bed at this time. So she comes in, she's got a friend with her. So the three of us are sat on the bed and she goes, Mom, we're gonna go online, but you have to go in disguise. And I'm like, disguise? Why? So she wraps this towel around, no, a scarf around me, and all you can see is my eyes. And suddenly we click on, and there's a guy fiddling with himself. And I'm like, what are you doing? And there's this thing where you go online, and it's like roulette. You never know what's going to come up on the screen.
But you can communicate back and forth.
He can see me, I can see him. He's fiddling, and he goes, do you want to fiddle while I fiddle? And I'm like, sure, I'll fiddle. So then I've got this big Labrador, golden Labrador, and she's on the bed. So I'm going to Amy, quickly move the computer. So I get the dog. She's got her legs open. I get her paw, and so I put her paw like this between her legs. And he says to me, this guy, right, while I've got this scarf wrapped around me, goes, freak. Excuse me, I'm a freak.
All right. Later in the show, Ozzy's going to perform his new single, Let Me Hear You Scream, which is a great song. America's Got Talent airs Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 9 o'clock on NBC. Sharon Osbourne. Up next, Jillian Michaels. Sharon!